are preparing to get started. Thank you for being with us um, this evening. I don't even know how many people we had with us at midday today. Um, I feel like we had a pretty good crowd. I know we had about 30 on Zoom and I think about 40 on Uber Conference. And last I looked, we had about 80 to 100 views on Facebook. So the message is getting out. Those of you who are joining us now on all of our platforms, I do want to say thank you for getting on. We got folk on Zoom, we have folk on Facebook, have folk on YouTube, and we have people on Uber Conference. And so we pick up today. If you did not get a chance to check out yesterday's Bible study, I encourage you to do that now. Um, if you are, if you do have a Facebook page, you can go to our church's Facebook page, Six Mount Zion Baptist Church Richmond. If you are a Six Mount Zion member, hopefully at this point, member or friend, you've downloaded the app, which is also Six Mount Zion Baptist Church Richmond. And you can get that on the Android and the Apple platforms. And then finally, if you are a Mount member, you can go to your Tithely account. And I think under the church management software piece, you can pick up the Bible studies. It's important, in particular, for those of you who are just on Wednesday evenings, because you're not getting the Tuesday or the Thursday discussion. So that is an important piece. All right. Go back and check out Tuesday. And then if you can't catch Thursday during the daytime, you need to catch that tomorrow evening. Now, we're going to either release our midday or it'll probably be tonight's lesson. Will go straight to Facebook once we're finished today, and it will remain up on YouTube. All right. Yesterday, we laid the foundation. This is week 4 of our What's Your Love Language virtual Bible study series. And the first week we focused on just the foundational piece of love, how love correlates to the life that we live, and what God says about love, and then what we teach about love, and then how that correlates into the life of the Christian. All right. Then we went into we using Gary Chapman's 5 love languages, and we started to kind of focus on those. And the first week, which was week 2, we looked at words of affirmation. Week 3, which was last week, we looked at quality time. And then this week, we started discussion, and we've been wrestling with this whole receiving gifts. All right. So what I'm sharing tonight is what I shared today at noon. And then tomorrow, we'll wrap it up with what God says about receiving gifts. And then next week, we'll move into our 4th love language. And we only have 2 left. So it's either going to be acts of service or physical touch. All right. Now, one thing that we've been saying about this whole receiving gifts piece is, and this is what I shared earlier, anthropologists have studied cultures through the ages, and they found that gift receiving and gift giving transcends culture. All right. Transcends culture. Okay, what culture you are a part of, gift receiving and gift giving is important. All right. It is important. Now, when we go to the English word gift, all right, the English word gift comes from the Greek word charis, all right, which means grace, all right, or an undeserved gift. Now, I'm going to continue to share that throughout the context of the evening. Undeserved gift, grace, all right, the English word gift for the Greek word cherish, undeserved gift. Now, one of the pieces that I shared on last night on yesterday, was this: the gift itself is a symbol of love. All right. The gift itself is a symbol of love. You got to understand that. All right. So if you are in relationship with somebody whose love language is receiving gifts, understand that the gift itself is the symbol. Now, I don't want you thinking that you're in a relationship with somebody who's a gold digger and they are trying to get your money, get your stuff. No, the gift itself, the gift itself, the gift itself, all right, is a symbol of love. But the gift itself also is a symbol of thought. All right. Now, Gary Chapman shares with us, and I want to make sure that I get this right. You know, Gary Chapman wants us to understand that the gift is not a matter of how much the gift cost. Okay. What is important is the thought behind the giving. All right. Somebody who has the love language of receiving gifts, the important piece for them is the thought that goes behind the action. All right. And so the action is actually the gift. All right. But it is taking the thought beyond it just being in your head and then putting a plan into action to secure the gift and then share it. All right. To secure the gift and then share it. All right. So what is it then that is important? The idea behind this is that, and this is the important piece. All right. And so I'm going to talk about this somewhat as it relates to teenagers, as it relates to children. Chapman does a great job of breaking down this concept, but I want to make sure that I put it out there. All right. The idea behind this is that if the gift is deserved, then it is a payment. All right. I want you to, that's why I just shared that a gift is something that is undeserved. All right. So if the gift is deserved, hear what I'm saying. All right. If the gift is deserved, then it is a payment. A true gift is not payment for services rendered. Rather, hear me, it is an expression of love for the individual and is freely given by the donor. All right. And so hopefully for those of you who are parents, you got children, you are a child of a parent, etc. What we have done, particularly in our culture, is we've used gifts as forms of bribery. We've used gifts as forms of payback. If somebody has done something to deserve the gift, all right, or to deserve what you are giving them, then that is a payment. If you clean your room, I'll take you to get some ice cream. That's a payment for an action. But we'll move into that in a minute. All right. So again, I want to reemphasize on this point what makes the receiving of gifts, the receiving of is such a great thing for those who have the love language is this. You must be thinking of someone to give them a gift. The gift itself is a symbol of love. The gift itself is a symbol of thought. All right. Those two things are imperative. Now, we used this scripture on yesterday, and I want to make sure that I'm emphasizing it again for the context of what we are doing as it relates to our sharing tonight. If you were on yesterday, you heard the scripture on yesterday. I am going to add one piece to it, and you may even hear the scripture tomorrow. I think this piece is imperative to what we're trying to get as it relates to messaging. All right. It says, and this is the NLT version, keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be opened to you. All right. For everyone who asks, receives. Everyone who seeks, finds. And to everyone who knocks, the door will be open. Now, here's a piece that I think Jesus wants to make sure that fundamentally we catch. All right. Here's a piece that Jesus wants to make sure that we fundamentally catch. And this is it. All right. You parents, if your child asks for a loaf of bread and you give them a stone instead, would you give them a stone instead? All right. If they ask for a fish, do you give them a snake? Of course not. All right. What Jesus is trying to get us to understand is this. All right. You're not going to, hear me. You're not going to be in a place where you're not going to be in a place where, as a parent, You don't care about the person that is asking of something. All right. If you care, then you're going to be responsive. This is a communication piece. All right. And we shared the same thing last week when we were dealing with 2 weeks ago, when we were dealing with words of affirmation, we're dealing with quality time. Jesus last week, when we was talking about in the text, Jesus wanted to make sure that he spent quality time with the disciples. And so he wanted to make sure when they went to a particular place that they would not be bothered with anybody, because quality time was important. Jesus also wants to make sure that he is expressing the need for communication and care. All right. Even in this text right here, if your child asks for a loaf of bread, do you give them a stone instead? No, you don't. All right. Because you understand that's not what they ask for. All right. That's not what they need. If they ask for fish, do you give them a snake? Of course not. All right. Those are things that are imperative in relationship. Now we shared those things on yesterday. So if you sinful people know how to give good gifts to your children, right? All right, if you know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your heavenly Father give good gifts to those who ask of him? All right. So these are the things that we talked about on yesterday. If you want to hear more about it, then go check out what we did on yesterday. Here's the piece that I want to share for today. All right. And it says, here's a simple rule of thumb guide for behavior. Ask yourself, what do you want people to do for you? Then grab the initiative, right? And do it for them. That's the Message translation, Matthew 7:12. You know this as the golden rule. Simple rule of thumb guide. Ask yourself what you want people to do for you. Then grab the initiative and what? Do it for them. Simple. Now, here's the thing. I don't want you to think that I'm trying to question the validity of the golden rule, but I want to make sure that you look at the hierarching theme of the golden rule and then not allow the practicality of it to box you in. All right. The theme is we're talking about love. All right. Ask yourself, what do you want people to do for you? You want to be loved. So give love in return. Now, what I don't want you to do is make it so specific that you try to force your love language on somebody else. And we talked about this earlier today. And somebody asked a question in the chat. What do I do if I don't know the person's love language? Do I just operate with my love language? And I want to ask you to try to commit to learning the love languages of those that you are in relationship with. If you don't know it, you've now got practical tools to help them find out what their own love language is. 5lovelanguages.com, Love Nudge app. All right, you can go to Gary Chapman's sites and figure out what the love language is. It will benefit all of you if you know what the love languages are. All right, if you know what the love languages are. Now, if you can share that, that is important. All right, if you know what the love languages are, it's important for you that you know what your love language is, and then it is important that the person that you're in relationship with know what theirs are, and they know what yours is. All right, so ask yourself what you want people to do for you, then grab the initiative and do it for yourself. All right, let me hasten on and get into some of the practical stuff for tonight. All right, but go back and really look at that text, Matthew 7, chapter verses 7 through 11, and then add on the golden rule to verse 12. All right, so hear me tonight. All right, this is important. All right, and this is a word that I think will help those of us who are in relationship with children and teenagers, but also adults, because all of this stuff is practical. If your loved one has been critical of your gifts in the past and almost nothing you have given them has been acceptable, then receiving gifts is almost certainly not their love language, not their primary love language anyway. What are you saying, Reb? Hear me tonight. If the person's primary love language is receiving gifts and they have been critical, all right, and there's a very strong possibility that receiving gifts is almost certainly not their primary love language. And so I'm telling you this And I'm going to share with you in a minute. Those who have the love language of receiving gifts, all right, are more excited about the process of the gifts and the giving of it as much as they are about what the gift is. All right. And so I'll dig deeper into that in a minute. The giving and receiving of gifts in childhood can be a powerful expression of love. And I know you all agree with me on that. At the time that they are giving and often extending into later years. Think back into your childhood. Some gift that was given to you that was special. All right. All right. The giving of it and the receiving of it can be powerful. Think about anything that somebody, I remember one of my favorite toys that I ever got, I can remember as a kid to this day. And this was probably 35 years ago. All right. I wanted, it was this green electronic football game. And for those of you who are old school, you know what I'm talking about. It really wasn't nothing but a little red space on the screen that you could control, moving it around. You could run, you could throw a pass. You had to, I mean, it was right now, it seems like the most simplistic game ever. But I so wanted that game. And I remember when I got it for Christmas and how happy I was. All right. So much so that even now, 35, 36 years later, I can remember receiving that as a Christmas present. All right. To me, for my parents to go find the game, pay for the game, and give me the game. And then wrap it up under the Christmas tree, put it like behind some stuff. So I had to go looking for it. All of that was a symbol of thought and love. I want you to go back and think about your own. And you can hit it up in the chat if you want to, if you're on Facebook or YouTube. Write in the comments a time where receiving a gift when you were younger, it impacted you. You may even still be holding on to something. All right. Or what about you giving? Think about something that you gave as a parent or as a grandparent and as an auntie, as a friend, something that you gave somebody. And it could have been years ago and they still have it. Or you go into a room and you see it and it's strategically placed up in there. All right. Gary Chapman has all these cool stories in the book that actually talk about the impact of giving gifts. All right. And those who like to receive them, how they were, again, symbols of what we have been talking about, symbols of thought and what? Symbols of love. All right. Now, by its very nature, a gift, God, and this is important, and I shared this earlier. I wish that I had more time to delve into this. All right. By its very nature, a gift is not something that your child or teenager deserves. It is given because you desire to share unconditional love with them. If you're on Uber Conference, I'm going to read it again. But those of you who are on YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, you can see it. By its very nature, a gift is not something that your child or teenager deserves. All right. It is given because you desire to share your love with them. We messed up. And I want to share this because what we've done is my generation and generations before, generations after, we have taken the element of gift giving away. Most of the time, what we give is not a gift. It is a payoff. It is a bribe. It's payback. But we're not giving unconditional gifts. I don't think to the level and the intention in which they were supposed to give. Listen, let me read this example real quickly from Gary Chapman's book. Some parents fail to realize this. They think they are giving gifts to their teenagers, to their children, when in reality, they are simply, hear me guys, paying them for a service rendered. When this happens, they are not really speaking the love language called gifts. For instance, mom tells her 15-year-old daughter, if you go clean your room as soon as dinner is over, we will go to the mall and I will buy you that dress that you want. Who am I talking to? In reality, mom was either trying to manipulate the daughter to do what she wanted her to do, or she was bartering a deal with her. If you will, then I will, That is bartering. All right. That is pretty much payback for services rendered. That is not gift giving in the spirit of and in the love language of receiving gifts. If you will, then I will. Maybe she was sick and tired of her daughter's harassment about the dress, and this was a way of caving into the harassment while trying to get a little something out of her in the process. At any rate, the gift, which is the dress in this case, will not be a gift. It's a payment for a clean room. All right. Now, I wish I could go further into that concept. All right. For some parents, Gary Chapman shares this directly. Almost all of what we call gifts, quote unquote, are in fact efforts at manipulating other people. Bartering for something that they desire or payment for work received. We're trying to get you to understand that gift giving, all right, is not about what somebody deserves. If you're bartering, if you're paying, if you're using it as a tool to manipulate, then it is not operating within the spirit of the context of receiving gifts as a love language. All right. Parents today don't always think of necessities as gifts, but as items that we must supply our children. All right. So we've got to get to this point. Listen, to fight the temptation to shower children with gifts as substitutes for other love languages. All right. Now, hear me. If you're taking notes, this is something that you might want to write down. Some you might want to text to somebody, shoot it as an email, tweet it, post it on Facebook. Parents sometimes resort to giving presents instead of presence. All right. And this is what happens. We end up creating kids, creating environments, these moments of unhealthiness. All right. Because gifts seem to be, all right, easier to give than emotional involvement. All right. Now, I understand that some of us may lack time, may lack patience, may lack wisdom, may lack knowledge. All right. You may even be unaware of how to meet the emotional needs of your kid. All right. But I'm trying to tell you, don't ever let presents, presents, substitute for presence. All right. And don't let giving gifts keep you from, all right, not, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, all of that. All right. All of those things are imperative as it relates in the development. I don't have time to really dig into this, but the truth is part of the reason why many of us are unhealthy as adults is because we have grown to either be manipulated by gifts or having somebody that we're in a relationship with use gift giving as a substitute for presence. All right. Now, it's important, again, that the other love languages be spoken along with a gift. Let me hurry on. I'm pushing toward my time limit, and I want to try to get through as much of this as possible. Again, this is our thesis statement. What makes one person feel loved emotionally is not always the thing that makes another person feel loved emotionally. We've been trying to share this almost every single lesson. This is important. If you want your relationship to be right, understand the context. That what may make one person feel loved. Hear me. What may make somebody feel loved is not what may make somebody else feel loved. All right. So I think I'll kind of wrap up these pieces with children. Parents, hopefully this has been helpful today. Children whose primary love language is the receiving of gifts will always make much of receiving a gift because they see the gift as an extension of you and as an extension of your love. And they want to share this moment with you. All right. And so this is what I've shared. Somebody who has the receiving gift love language. It's not just children. All right. Now, this is teenagers. These are adults. Persons who have these love languages, receiving of gifts, will help you understand that receiving gifts is their love language by the way they respond. All right. So they're not just the person that opens up a card just to see if there's a check on the inside or cash. They're not the person that doesn't care that it took you 30 minutes to wrap that gift. All right. They're the person that's going to appreciate the wrap. They're going to take their time with the wrap. They're going to be thinking of you as you have shared the gift and the thought that it was intended to symbolize. All right. And so understand that that is important to somebody. Hold on for a second, Uber conference. I'm having a little technical difficulty with Zoom. All right, Chelsea, hit me up in the chat real quick. Can you hear me? And there are 2 people over here on Zoom that are unmuted. Go ahead and mute yourself. Are you? All right, guys, I'm coming to you. I'm so sorry. All right, you can hear me now. Thank you, Chelsea. All right, so let me keep going real quick. Let me hasten on. Hey, Minister Chu, go ahead and mute yourself real quick for a minute. I don't want to take too much of my time. Just go on and mute yourself. I think it's a little bit of feedback from you. All right. So even if you're not a gift giver, all right, thank you. Thank you so much. Even if you're not a gift giver, don't worry. All right. Being a gift giver is one of the easiest love languages to learn. So real quickly, let me give you, oh God, help me. Let me give you a few tips for gift giving. All right, let me give you a few tips for gift giving. All right, first, all right, and thank me later. All right, thank me later. Tuesdays, we try to look at the foundational pieces for our sharing with the love language. Wednesdays, I try to give you some tips to make it practical. And then Thursday, we look at what God is saying. So again, jump on tomorrow at noon if you can, 12 noon, really important. All right, make a list of all the gifts your loved one has expressed excitement about receiving through the years. All right. So if you are in relationship with somebody who has the love language of receiving gifts, this is what you can do to speak specifically to that need. Make list of the gifts that person has expressed excitement about through their receiving. Now, guess what? It doesn't have to be gifts that you've given them. It can be gifts that they've gotten from anybody. All right. Make sure that you make a list. All right. Second, keep a gift idea notebook. All right. Every time you hear somebody say, oh man, I really like that. Or God, I wish I could have one of those. Write it down. It can be a physical notebook. You hear me? It can be a physical notebook or go on your phone. All right. Put it down. This for anybody. Do this for your siblings, for your friends, for your parents, grandparents, for your boos, your children. All right. Every time you hear somebody say, this is something I really like, and you know gift giving is important to them, I want you to go ahead and make a note of that. All right. Here's another practical tip. You don't have to wait for special occasions. People who love receiving gifts will take a gift a day if you give it to them. If you give it with the right spirit and in the right context, don't wait for special occasions. You can give them a gift and it's not Christmas and it's not their birthday. All right. Don't wait for special occasions. Here's another one. And this right here is going to probably mess with some of you, but you have to change your attitude about money. You have to change your attitude about money. If you are a spender, then it's easy for you to purchase gifts for loved ones. You don't have a problem rolling to the mall, getting online, and spending some money. But if you are a saver, you will experience emotional resistance to the idea of spending money as an expression of love. I'm just going to be honest with you right now. This is why receiving gifts as a love language is hard for some people. All right. Because for you, you used to stacking your money, not spending it. All right. And so this is a challenge for those who like to save. All right. Because for you, saving is an investment. All right. By saving and investing your money, you are purchasing self-worth and emotional security. All right. You're caring for your own emotional needs in the way you handle money. What you are not doing is meeting the emotional needs of your loved ones, though. So you know you're in a relationship with somebody that loves receiving gifts, and you just can't spend the money because it goes against your principle. You can't spend the money. You won't spend the money. It doesn't make sense. I remember growing up and I had adults that I was in a relationship with. I knew they had the money to spend and I love receiving it. All right. But the gifts that I got were not commensurate with what they could do. All right. And to me, it came off like they didn't put much thought into it. All right. And you know folk like that. Christmas Eve, 5 o'clock, they out scrambling to try to get you something for Christmas Day. All right. And sometimes it has nothing to do with with how much people can do. A lot of times it has something to do with the principles that people have. All right. Parents, another thing, I don't have time to really deal with this the way I want to, but parents, you got to consider what you're teaching your children and your teenagers about money. All right. And we may circle back. All right. I was feeling in my spirit as I was reading this that maybe one of the next Bible studies series we do focuses on God and money, and not your giving to the church per se, but what you're spending and what your habits with your money have to say about your relationship with God. All right. Parents, you got to consider what you're teaching your kids. When you're not teaching them how to value money, then they won't understand what goes into spending it. When you give gifts, they won't value it if they don't understand the value of $1. And you can teach them how to do this. All right. And so hopefully one day we can circle back. All right. Let me hasten to a close real quickly. We've already talked about the gift of self. The gift of self always goes the extra mile. All right. The gift of presence can sometimes speak more loudly than a gift that can be held in your hand. All right. Sometimes folk just want you to be there. All right. Physical presence in the time of crisis is the most powerful gift that you can give someone's primary love language, which is receiving gifts. Your body becomes the symbol of your love. Your body becomes the symbol of your love. All right. Here's a couple more and I'm done. If the physical presence of your family, friends, co-workers is important to you, verbalize that to them. Verbalize that to them. I shared this earlier. I need us to mature to the point where we are verbalizing, period, what is important to us. All right. Stop making people be mind readers. If something is important to you, then say it. This is what I need. All right. This is what I need. This is what I want. All right. You ever heard of 12 days of Christmas? Why don't you get creative and make 12 days of gifts? All right. It can be for anniversaries, birthdays, or other occasions. All right. Give a gift to your favorite church, to their favorite charity in honor of their birthday, anniversary, or occasion. I see people doing this on a regular basis now, giving out gifts to charity that shows some selflessness for them. All right. Charm bracelets, necklaces will always allow you to personalize the gift over and over and over again. I don't have time, but these charm bracelets now, you can start it and then add to it with specific things that may resemble something that creates a story. All right. Photos are inexpensive gifts that become more cherished as time passes. If you can't come up with it on your own, then ask a friend, ask a family member who may know the person that you are trying to give a gift to help you. All right. You can always benefit by having the help of somebody who may know the person that you're trying to give a gift to. Take some time to wrap up new school clothes. When you do that, you are moving to a point where, listen, you are teaching your kids that what you are giving them is a gift. It's not something that you owe them. All right. What you do is a gift. Christmas, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them anything as it relates to school clothes. Yes, they need clothes to wear. I get it. But it's still a gift that comes from you. All right. Add to the anticipation of a big gift, offering up some vague clues, make it fun. All right. Jigsaw puzzles or whatever, or send them on some type of treasure hunt that that may include a map or some clues along the way to the main surprise. Listen, that's it for today, but we tried to share some practical ways as it relates to receiving gifts. I want to thank you for joining us, for especially those of you who are on Facebook and YouTube. If you're on Zoom and Uber Conference, I need you to hang for a minute. I share this every day. I share this every day that we do this, that it is important that that you guys understand what we're sharing. All right. Now, if you're on Facebook and on YouTube, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. I'm going to sign off early here because I'm getting ready to share some personal information as it relates to our members, those who may be in the hospital, etc. And I don't want to institutionalize that information by putting it on Facebook or putting it on YouTube. All right. So I am going to say to you guys, thank you for joining us today. Get back on tomorrow at noon, Thursday, noon, to pick up this last piece of receiving gifts. What is your love language? And so thank you. Hopefully you can join us then. Peace. All right. Those of you